Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's Ag Forecast, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions, your premier platform for real-time global insights. Just a reminder, go to mynutrienagsolutions.com and get logged in, get a free account, set everything up so you can see our weather story. Basically, we're releasing weather content 5 days a week, including long-range forecasts, regional short-term forecasts, global outlooks, all sorts of stuff there. And we're building out this page over the coming months in preparation for the next growing season. It's going to have a lot of great content. I want you on there checking this stuff out. It's there. Nutrien's providing it. Get out and check it out, okay? All right, let's dig right into this. I want to start us off by taking a look at complete 2018-19 winter snowfall so far. So this is September 30th all the way to the 27th of February. We can see that much of the country has seen a lot of snow. Remember, we've seen snow all the way down into LA. We've seen snow in Las Vegas. But look across the middle part of the country. We've seen a pretty large area here that's received well over 2 feet, in some locations 3 and 4 feet of snow, right where we drain that snow as it eventually melts into the Mississippi River. Now, why I want to talk about this is let's just take a look at both the west and the east and talk about what our current snowpack looks like. Starting out west, before we come back to that Mississippi River idea. Look at this basin average snow water content. I could not be happier about these numbers. Many of them well over 100, which means we're over 100%. In fact, the Sierra Nevada's 150+%. But the only location that's still kind of dragging a little bit, but this isn't bad, would be parts of Washington, where we still see our numbers here below 100%, but they're above 70, 80%, which is quite good. Now, I know this is a lot of extra snow. This is making for a pretty tough winter so far, but we're going to love that we had this as we move into the next growing season. There's going to be a lot of snow that can be melted and get right into our reservoirs. But let's come back over to the other side of the mountains. Look here at the snow water equivalent for the northern plains. Now, it's not that this is too anomalous, but it is certainly something we have to watch out for as we progress into the month of March. You see, we overall have anywhere between 1 inch to, in some locations, 3 to 4 inches of liquid equivalent, which means if all that melted, we're going to be putting down a lot of moisture into the soil. It's going to run off relatively quickly into the Missouri River, into the Mississippi River, and all of its tributaries, and then get down here into the mid and lower Mississippi River Valley. And why that's got me concerned is we're already draining a lot of water from the incredible flooding events that's been happening in the Ohio River Valley, getting into the Tennessee Valley, northern Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Arkansas. So that's the region that's been incredibly wet recently, and I've got bad news. This whole area is nowhere close to being shut down from its active pattern when I just look out over the month of March. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. Meanwhile, you can also see how wet the west has been. That map over there on the left shows the last 72 hours of total accumulated precipitation. And while much of us east of the Rocky Mountains just saw some lighter snow spreading in through this area over the last 3 days and some shower and thunderstorm activity along the Gulf Coast, take a look at what we saw here along the west coast. Now, my color bar goes up to 10 inches. We can see that there was in the Sierra Nevada mountains several feet of snow piling up in this area. But come down in elevation. Look here along the coast range. Look here as you get into Northern California. We have a widespread region that saw anywhere between 3 and 6 inches of rain, with some local areas that were well above 7, 8, 9 inches of rainfall. And if you've been watching the news, you've seen the epic flooding we've had out west. It's a really, really bad situation right now in this section of California. Here's my bad news for California. We're not done with this just yet. We have another round of some lighter precipitation, light compared to what you just saw coming in on Saturday. But next Tuesday, Wednesday, look at this event right here. So here we are looking at the flow in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. This is most certainly another short-lived but significant atmospheric river event, pumping moisture all the way from Hawaii into this area. So look at it. You can see the flow pattern really just doing this, taking aim on California. Now, I want to bring something up here. Yes, right now, the moisture situation in California is well above average, but we need to think about what that means. Now, remember, last year we were coming off of a very hot and dry summer. We saw all of those fires. When we bring in this much precipitation in winter, it is going to make for a very green spring and early summer with a lot of vegetative growth. If we start to see California doing its normal whiplash thing, which is really, really wet winters and really, really hot and dry summers, if it goes into a hot, dry summer again, a lot of evapotranspiration, low relative humidities, we're going to turn all of this new vegetation right over into basically tinder. I mean, it's going to be there to be burned when we get hot and dry. So I'll be honest, while it looks great right now, we need all this precipitation, although it's coming too much for the flooding in Northern California. it's got me concerned about fire threat later this year. So I just want to throw that out there. We'll watch it and keep a close eye on it as we progress forward. For the rest of the country, we've seen that so far throughout the month of February, the coldest spot probably on the earth relative to average has been Montana, where some locations have been over 25 degrees below average. Well, this cold air is about to get unleashed as a big dome of higher atmospheric pressure slides through that region, and we get these low pressure systems dipping pretty far to the south. The big one coming over the weekend, one we're watching right now skirting across the south like this. Let's take a look at them. Here's our main setup. When we look out to Sunday, look at this huge area of much higher than normal atmospheric pressure that's sitting right on the axis of that major cold air. What that's going to do is that's going to force our low pressure system track, as I just said, pretty far to the south. And on Sunday, we're watching for the development of a low right in through here, right into the Ohio River Valley. And I hate to say that because of all the rain they just saw. But the upper level dynamics are playing nicely with this. Check it out. Here's the subtropical branch of the jet stream. We then see this nice ridge building over the east. And this gives us strong upper level divergence in the flow of the jet stream right over where the Ohio River and the Mississippi River meet. And the consequence of that is we're going to be bringing in some precipitation there. So let's kind of step through it and take a look at what's going on. Beginning on Thursday, watch this system right here, bringing widespread showers and possibly some thunderstorms down south. On the northern side of it, cold enough air in place that we could be seeing a mix of freezing rain with some rain, maybe some lighter snow in through this area as we progress through the day on Thursday. So I'll kind of play it for you here and we'll step back and watch it. So there it is, spreading through parts of southern Illinois, getting into Kentucky, southern Indiana, southern Ohio. Very light snowfall amounts, maybe mixed with some freezing rain. South of there, it's just a lot of widespread showers. So this is system number one. We do need to be concerned by the time we get into early on Friday, we may have enough cold air tucked into this area to get some cold air damming, bringing in that frozen precipitation a little bit farther south there along the Appalachian Mountains in parts of Virginia. They're very used to this. This is what happens in that area a lot this time of year. But this is just system number one. Now, as we progress into Saturday, look at this. Light snow is going to be spread from Montana on Friday, getting into the upper plains here, North and South Dakota, Minnesota, really Wisconsin, not so much Iowa. But then look out west. You see, that's the little system I said is coming through on Saturday. I'm saying little compared to what you just saw. This is going to be quite a bit of precipitation. Now, getting into Saturday night, we're watching the formation of a low-pressure system taking shape there in the higher plains of Colorado, dipping south into the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas. Now, because of the way the European model brings in the higher atmospheric pressure in here, it's got the initialization of this low much further to the south and gets cranked up right into this area. There will be enough cold air on the backside that we're already spreading snow from, really it's going to start off in South Dakota, but then getting into eastern Colorado, but then most certainly Nebraska, Kansas, panhandles of Oklahoma, Texas, much of Oklahoma, and then spreading just like this over the coming days. Now let's take those drawings off there and watch this. So this is now getting into Sunday, middle of the day. So churchgoers Sunday in this region, look out. It's going to be a pretty tough commute. It's going to be very, very windy with this snow. So that's the concern. Doesn't take much snow here to cause for some treacherous conditions. And we have seen that. Remember all the nasty accidents you've seen on I-70? Well, we've got that same area getting hit. On Saturday, look at the wind. My goodness, look at the winds stretching all the way from the northern plains down to the Gulf Coast. And right in through here, there will be a strong to severe thunderstorm threat, heavy rainfall with snow on the backside. Now watch this low as it progresses over toward the East Coast. I have been talking about watching the 6th of March to watch for a bigger low pressure system along the East Coast. The pattern got much more progressive, much quicker. This high pressure system dominated and has changed all of that. So we're no longer concerned about the 6th and 7th of March having a big coastal low. It's here much earlier on the 4th. The European model wants to take the low right here to near Boston. And that's an important thing to think about because the closer it is to the coast, the more snow we pack in parts of Pennsylvania, New York, getting all the way up to Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Meanwhile, on the back side of it, big shot of cold air on very windy conditions. This is going to be a brutal shot of cold air. Now, beyond this, I just want to show you what the pattern's going to do. Watch this. Next Tuesday, Wednesday, remember we talked about this for California. This is the next big system that comes on shore here. So Tuesday, Wednesday. And because of the pattern as it sets up, we just stay active across the middle part of the country. Now don't look at this and go, wait, Snodgrass said there's going to be a big low pressure system, more snow and ice on the 10th. I'm just showing you that the model's keeping this section of the country quite active in its pattern. We're going to diagnose that in a few seconds. Now I want to talk about this snow because we have some model differences here. I tell you that I really trust and watch the European model, and there's a lot of reasons for that. It's got snow, if you see here, spreading initially over the next week or so. We're talking about snow spreading from Montana through parts of the Dakotas, getting into Nebraska. One of the big differences is the placement and timing of this next low keeps much of eastern Colorado relatively dry. A few inches of snow, but not much. It's because it drops that low down here really quickly before racing it off toward the northeast. Both the European and the GFS are pretty set on this snowfall pattern. You can see there's pretty good agreement in through here, but the GFS wants to bring in more upslope flow through the higher country Colorado, putting in, maybe 4, 5, 6 inches of snow. I don't buy the GFS model right now. Secondly, remember how the European model wants to put the low right here sitting off of like Boston? The GFS wants it way out here, and that lowers the snowfall totals for the Northeast. Again, I got to go back to trusting the European model on this. I decided to consult the Canadians. This is the Canadian, but they just want to give snow to everybody. I think that's pretty typical of Canada. So let's get off that and get right here to the European ensembles, okay? Probability of getting over 6 inches is on the left, over 3 inches is on the right. We see that even the European ensemble does kind of want to starve, parts of the higher plains here in eastern Colorado for snow, but pretty good swath into this area, picking up 3+ inches, maybe 3 to 5. And again, the European ensemble wants to really put down 6+ inches of snow across much of the Northeast. So I'm going to have to stick with that right now until I see a better solution. But remember, we're getting pretty far out here in the forecast looking at that snowfall. Maybe the bigger problem with all of this is the rain we're putting down in this area. This is the next week total accumulation, widespread 1 to 3 inches of rainfall on an area you already saw is quite saturated. Now let's talk about these temperatures. I'm just going to play this out to look at the pattern. Here's the brutally cold air that comes in after that system. If we watch, though, we can start to see that the European model is it's keeping that cold around through mid-March, but it's trying to kind of wither this away. And we got to understand what the pattern is doing to understand if that's going to happen. So first things first, what's climatology tell us? Because I'm trying to answer, is this our last brutal shot of colder air? Well, check out this map. It shows the difference between March 1st and March 31st in temperatures. And much of the Central Plains gets an increase in temperature over the next 31 days here, of anywhere between 10 to 12, maybe up to 20 degrees warmer. So you got to remember, climatology is playing into the fact that keeping the bitterly cold air around, I'm talking about those sub-zero temperatures, is just less and less likely naturally due to climatology. But the pattern holds a different story for us. Let's talk about this, okay? This is what we're watching. See the trough right there in central Canada? This is the one that swings through Saturday into Sunday, initiating the next low. That's also the one with the brutally cold air. All right, that's the short term. Our eyes need to focus on Alaska. You see, over Alaska, that ridge that dominates is going to help keep this deep trough over the Great Lakes. But watch what happens with time. The coastal low next Wednesday that hits California is substantial. But look over the Aleutian Islands up there in Alaska. Do you see a trough slowly working its way? We finally broke that wave that sits there over Alaska. Now the issue with this is, to the south of there, each one of these systems that comes on shore out west is going to eventually work their way into the middle part of the country and initiate a trough in through here, be it a weaker one. And each one of these troughs just kicks off a storm system that goes racing on off through the eastern half of the country. And watch as I keep playing this out. Yeah, a trough builds into Alaska, but we still got to kick that bigger trough that keeps hitting the west coast out. And I got to be honest, when I see a pattern like this, if you fast forwarded a month, this would be a massive severe weather outbreak pattern. The way it is now, though, in mid-March, yeah, we're going to get some severe weather along the Gulf Coast and possibly here in the Central Plains. But this just means that this pattern basically takes the jet stream, watch, like that. That's a pump on Gulf moisture. That's strong upper level dynamics. That's an active storm system through here. So I hate to say this. We've got snow on the ground now. We already have our soil saturated. Nothing is slowing this pattern down as we work through the month of March. I think this is going to be a season where we start off really worried about our early season flood threat. I hate to say that, but that's what the atmosphere holds right now. As we finish this up, I just want to show you what's going on around the rest of the world. Really, I want to talk about Australia and South America. Right now, the MJO is going into phases 3 and 4, and that right over here, that is a lot of convection inside of the circle that I just drew for you in this area. So if we kind of watch this last week or so, you're going to see that's where much of our convection is. While that's going on, look at South America. Very normal Brazilian monsoon flow here. In fact, things have been wet. We've been talking about as they're harvesting this first crop beans, which is nearing halfway done across all of Brazil, about 85% done in Mato Grosso. They've been getting some end-of-season rain. It's helping a little, but not much. The planting of the safrinha crop is going into wetter conditions here for Brazil. But let's just take a closer look at what Brazil's looking at over the next 10 days or so. We certainly see that southeastern parts of Brazil looking wet, the rest of Brazil kind of picking up normal precipitation, and down in Argentina, while we've have had recently quite a bit of severe thunderstorm activity, which is typical of late summer here in Argentina. Things were dry. We're looking over the next 10 days, though, to bring in quite a bit more moisture here, in parts that really kind of need it. It's only going to be dry in the higher country getting up toward the Andes Mountains. So things are not right now looking to kind of say that they're unfavorable at all for South America as we progress later into this season. But with that MJO swinging over there into phases 4, 5, and 6, we're going to have to watch this area for the potential maybe to be drying out as we get in toward the end of the season. We'll keep you updated, keep a close eye on it week by week here. But I'll finish by telling you about Australia. With all the convection in the Indian Ocean and El Nino helping to keep things wet to kind of the north and east of Australia, the next 10 days are warm and dry. And it's been a hot, dry summer so far. Yeah, they had some epic flooding here from a tropical system, but outside of that, things have been dry. And the Bureau of Meteorology just released their March through May outlook, and they're picking up on a drier pattern as they go into their fall. So that's something to keep an eye on there in Australia. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this forecast video. We at Nutrien Ag Solutions hope you look forward to our next ag forecast coming out soon. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you then. Thank you.